It was a bright morning at the Grand Sterling Hotel, a luxurious establishment nestled in the heart of the city. Guests arrived in sleek cars, and the hotel bustled with staff attending to their every need. Among the new recruits was Christan, a soft-spoken young man with a charming yet humble demeanor. Christan walked into the employee entrance, clad in the standard bellboy uniform. A crisp white shirt, a red vest, and polished black shoes. He was here to start his first day on the job, not out of necessity, but by choice. Unbeknownst to anyone, Christan was the only son of Harold Sterling, the hotel's owner and a prominent figure in the hospitality industry. Harold had sent Christan to work anonymously as a bellboy to teach him the value of hard work and to expose him to the realities of the business from the ground up. Christan embraced the opportunity with determination, eager to prove himself. "Welcome aboard," said Sarah, the friendly front desk manager, handing Christan his name tag. "It's going to be a busy day, but I think you'll do great." Christan smiled warmly, taking in the grandeur of the lobby. Marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers, and the scent of fresh flowers filled the air. He couldn't wait to see what lay ahead. As Christan began his duties, he quickly caught the attention of Ralph Brenton, the hotel's manager. Ralph was a sharp-dressed man with a commanding presence, but his reputation among the staff was less than stellar. Known for his condescending attitude, Ralph often belittled employees he deemed unimportant. Christan's first task was to assist a guest with their luggage. Struggling with a particularly heavy suitcase, he accidentally bumped into Ralph, who was passing by. "Watch where you're going," Ralph snapped, his voice echoing across the lobby. "I'm sorry, sir. It won't happen again," Christan said, bowing his head respectfully. Ralph eyed him with disdain. "You're the new guy, huh? Let me make one thing clear. I have no patience for incompetence. Do your job properly, or you're out." Christan nodded, suppressing the urge to respond. He reminded himself of his father's advice: stay patient, observe, and learn. Throughout the day, Ralph continued to watch Christan like a hawk, criticizing even the smallest mistakes. While most employees would have been discouraged, Christan used the experience as motivation to improve. By the end of his first week, Christan had learned the ins and outs of his role. He delivered luggage, guided guests to their rooms, and handled special requests, all with a smile. Though the work was physically demanding, Christan found joy in helping others. One evening, Christan encountered an elderly housekeeper, Mrs. Greta, struggling to carry a stack of towels. Without hesitation, he rushed to her aid. "Thank you, young man," she said, her voice trembling with exhaustion. "Not many here would stop to help." "It's no trouble at all, ma'am," Christan replied. Their brief interaction left a deep impression on Christan. He realized that the lower-ranking staff, like Mrs. Greta, were the backbone of the hotel, yet they often went unnoticed and unappreciated. Later that night, Christan reflected on his day as he returned to the modest staff dormitory. He couldn't help but think about Ralph's treatment of the employees. While he knew he couldn't change things immediately, he was determined to make a difference in the long run. What Christan didn't realize was that his quiet acts of kindness were already catching the attention of his coworkers. To them, he was more than just a bellboy. He was a breath of fresh air in a demanding workplace. Unbeknownst to Ralph and the rest of the staff, Christan's journey was just beginning, and it would soon challenge the very foundation of the Sterling Hotel. As the days passed, Christan continued to excel at his job, winning the admiration of his co-workers and even some of the guests. However, his diligence only seemed to irritate Ralph further. The hotel manager found Christan's politeness and attention to detail grading, seeing them as an attempt to curry favor rather than genuine qualities. One afternoon, Ralph assigned Christan the most tedious task available: organizing the storage room. The space was cluttered with years of misplaced luggage, cleaning supplies, and other forgotten items. "Since you seem so eager to work, make yourself useful," Ralph said smugly, handing Christan a checklist. "I expect this to be spotless by the end of the day." Instead of protesting, Christan smiled and got to work. The hours were long, and the air in the storage room was stifling, but he approached the task methodically. By evening, The once chaotic room was transformed into a neatly arranged space, with every item in its proper place. When Ralph inspected the room, his face twisted with reluctance to acknowledge the effort. "Adequate," he muttered, before leaving abruptly. Christan didn't need Ralph's praise. The satisfaction of a job well done was enough for him. However, Ralph's growing resentment hinted at trouble brewing ahead. One busy morning, Christan was assigned to assist a wealthy couple, Mr. and Mrs. Wellington, who had arrived for an extended stay. The Wellingtons were known for their eccentric requests, and Christan was prepared for a challenge. "Excuse me, young man," Mrs. Wellington said, adjusting her pearl necklace. "Could you arrange for fresh lilies in our suite every morning? And make sure they're white. No other color, you hear?" "Of course, ma'am," Christan replied, noting down her request. The Wellingtons were demanding but polite, and Christan handled their needs with ease. Over the next few days, the couple grew fond of him, impressed by his professionalism and charm. During a conversation, Mr. Wellington casually asked, "How long have you been working here?" "Just a couple of weeks, sir," Christan replied. "You've got a bright future ahead, young man. Keep up the good work," Mr. Wellington said with a smile. Their words of encouragement warmed Christan's heart, reminding him why he was here. Little did he know, his interactions with the Wellingtons would soon play a pivotal role in his journey. Despite Christan's growing popularity among guests and staff, Ralph seemed determined to make his life difficult. One afternoon, while Christan was assisting Mrs. Greta with her duties, Ralph barged into the room. "Why are you wasting time here?" Ralph barked. "Your job is to assist guests, not play housekeeper." "I was just helping Mrs. Greta carry these linens," Christan explained calmly. "I don't care for excuses. Get back to the lobby now," Ralph demanded, his voice echoing. Christan nodded and left without protest, but Mrs. Greta was visibly upset. "That man has no respect for anyone," she muttered under her breath. Ralph's attitude reached its peak later that day when a guest reported a minor issue with their room service. Though Christan had no involvement in the mistake, Ralph publicly blamed him in front of the entire staff. "You're an embarrassment to this hotel," Ralph sneered. "If you can't handle basic responsibilities, maybe you should find another job." The room fell silent as everyone watched the scene unfold. Christan, however, remained composed. "I'll strive to do better, sir," he said, keeping his head held high. Behind the scenes, Christan's co-workers rallied around him, offering words of support. Ralph's behavior was beginning to backfire, as the staff grew increasingly resentful of his tyranny. Unbeknownst to Ralph, Harold Sterling, the hotel's owner and Christan's father, was scheduled to visit the property soon. And when he did, Ralph's days of unchecked authority would come to an end. The day started like any other, with Christan tidying the lobby and assisting guests. However, unbeknownst to the staff, Harold Sterling, the hotel owner, had decided to make an unannounced visit. Arriving in a modest car to avoid drawing attention, Harold wore casual attire, blending in with other guests. Harold's goal was to assess the hotel's operations firsthand. While he trusted his management team, he believed there was no substitute for personal observation. Christan, unaware of his father's visit, continued his duties with unwavering dedication. As Harold surveyed the premises, he was pleased to see Christan hard at work, greeting guests with genuine warmth and efficiently handling requests. However, he couldn't help but notice Ralph's abrasive behavior toward the staff, particularly Christan. Harold decided to observe silently for a while longer, allowing events to unfold naturally. That afternoon, a high-profile guest arrived, a famous travel blogger whose reviews could make or break the hotel's reputation. Ralph, eager to impress, took it upon himself to personally handle the guest's check-in. Unfortunately, Ralph's arrogance got the better of him. When the blogger requested a room change due to a minor issue, Ralph dismissed the concern, stating, "Our rooms are perfect. Maybe you're too picky." The blogger's expression darkened. "Customer service is key in this industry," she said curtly, before walking away. Christan, who witnessed the exchange, discreetly approached the blogger. "I'm sorry for the inconvenience, ma'am. "Let me assist you in finding a room that meets your expectations," he said with a sincere smile. Christan's professionalism and quick thinking impressed the blogger, who later mentioned him in a positive review. Ralph, however, was livid when he found out. "How dare you undermine me?" he snarled at Christan later in the staff lounge. "I only wanted to ensure the guest was satisfied," Christan replied calmly. "You think you're smarter than me? Just wait. You'll regret this," Ralph spat before storming out. Harold, who had overheard the exchange from a nearby hallway, decided it was time to intervene. The following day, Harold called a staff meeting. Everyone gathered in the grand conference room, curious about the sudden announcement. Ralph strutted in confidently, assuming the meeting was to praise his leadership. When Harold entered the room, a hush fell over the crowd. While some staff recognized him as the owner, others were seeing him for the first time. "Good morning, everyone," Harold began. "I've been observing the operations here for the past few days, and I have some concerns." Ralph's face turned pale. "Mr. Sterling, I assure you, everything is running smoothly under my management," he said, forcing a smile. Harold raised an eyebrow. "Is that so, Mr. Ralph? Then perhaps you can explain the incident with the travel blogger yesterday, or your treatment of this young man," he said, gesturing toward Christan. Ralph stammered, struggling to find words. I was only enforcing discipline. This employee has been..." "Enough," Harold interrupted. "Christan is not just any employee. He's my son." Gasps filled the room as the staff exchanged shocked glances. Ralph's jaw dropped, and his complexion turned ghostly white. Harold continued, his tone stern. "I placed Christan here to see how the hotel is managed on a daily basis. What I've witnessed is unacceptable. Your behavior, Ralph, has not only been unprofessional, but also detrimental to the morale of this team." Ralph tried to plead his case, but Harold silenced him with a raised hand. "You've had enough chances. Pack your belongings. Your tenure here is over." As Ralph left in disgrace, the staff erupted into applause, relieved to see him gone. Harold turned to Christan, a proud smile on his face. "You've done an excellent job, son," he said. "I couldn't be prouder." Christan, though overwhelmed, felt a sense of accomplishment. His hard work and integrity had finally paid off, and the respect of his co-workers meant everything to him. Little did he know, his journey at the hotel was just beginning. With Ralph gone, Harold announced that an interim manager would take over while he evaluated the hotel's operations. Christan was surprised when Harold turned to him during the meeting. "Christan, I believe you have the qualities of a leader: empathy, diligence, and a strong sense of fairness. Would you like to temporarily assist the management team while we find a permanent solution?" Harold asked, his tone supportive yet expectant. Christan hesitated, glancing at his co-workers. Their smiles and encouraging nods reassured him. "If you believe I'm capable, I'll do my best," Christan replied, his voice steady despite the weight of the responsibility. The announcement was met with applause. Though Christan still had much to learn, the staff respected him for his humility and dedication, a sharp contrast to Ralph's authoritarian approach. Christan's first day in his new role was filled with challenges. While he was familiar with the hotel's day-to-day operations, he now faced tasks such as managing schedules, addressing staff concerns, and handling VIP guests. One pressing issue arose when a high-profile wedding was scheduled for the weekend, but a double booking error was discovered in the ballroom reservations. Christan spent hours coordinating with both parties, offering creative solutions, and even securing an exclusive outdoor venue for one of the events at the hotel's expense. "Thank you for resolving this so gracefully," one of the clients told him after the arrangements were finalized. "It's rare to see someone take responsibility and act so quickly." The praise boosted Christan's confidence. He realized that his ability to listen and empathize made him a natural problem solver. Meanwhile, Harold watched his son's progress with pride, occasionally offering guidance but allowing Christan to handle most situations independently. Not everyone was thrilled about Christan's rise in responsibility. A few staff members, loyal to Ralph, began spreading rumors that Christan had only been promoted because of nepotism. While most dismissed the gossip, one senior employee, Alex, approached Christan directly. "I've worked here for 15 years, Alex said bluntly. "Why should I take orders from someone who's only been here a few months?" Christan respected Alex's experience and knew earning his trust was crucial. "I understand your concerns," Christan said. "I don't expect you to take my word for anything. Let my actions speak for me. If I make mistakes, please point them out. I'm here to learn from all of you." Alex was taken aback by Christan's humility. Over the next few weeks, he observed Christan's dedication and fairness. Slowly, his skepticism gave way to respect. The final test of Christan's integrity came when he discovered a financial discrepancy in the hotel's accounts. After thorough investigation, he uncovered that one of Ralph's former allies had been embezzling funds. Christan reported the issue directly to Harold, who praised his honesty and thoroughness. "This is exactly why I believed in you," Harold said. "You're not just running a hotel, you're building a team that trusts and supports each other." As the chapter closed, Christan reflected on how much he had grown. He still had a long way to go, but for the first time, he felt truly capable of leading. Christan faced a pivotal moment in his leadership journey. Despite his efforts to build trust, a divide still lingered among the staff, those who embraced his leadership and those who resented the change. He realized that bridging this gap would require more than hard work. It would take connection and empathy. One evening, Christan invited the entire team to an informal gathering at the hotel's rooftop terrace. It was a bold move, as the staff rarely socialized as a group. The terrace was adorned with fairy lights, soft music played in the background, and a buffet of comfort food was laid out. "This isn't about work," Christan said, addressing the group. "This is about us as people. I want to get to know each of you better because every one of you contributes to the heart of this hotel." At first, the gathering was awkward. Some employees lingered at the edges, unsure of Christan's intentions. But as the evening unfolded, barriers began to break. Christan shared stories about his life before joining the hotel, even laughing at his initial struggles as a bellboy. His humility and openness resonated with the staff, especially those who had doubted him. By the end of the night, even the skeptics began to see Christan in a new light. Alex, the senior employee who had been one of his harshest critics, raised a toast. To Christan, Alex said, "For showing us that leadership isn't about titles, but about heart. You've earned my respect." Just as Christan began to feel a sense of unity within the team, a crisis struck. A power outage during a high-profile event left the hotel in chaos. The blackout affected not only the guest rooms, but also the ballroom, where a charity gala was taking place. Guests were irate, and the event organizer was on the verge of canceling. Christan immediately sprang into action. He gathered the staff and delegated tasks with precision. "Candles and battery-powered lights to the ballroom, now," he instructed. "Guests need to feel that we're in control. Offer complimentary drinks and snacks to keep them comfortable." He personally spoke with the event organizer, reassuring them that the team would salvage the evening. "Give us 30 minutes, he said with quiet confidence. "You'll have an unforgettable gala, I promise." As the team worked tirelessly, Christan noticed how the bonds they had built helped them function as a cohesive unit. Within the promised time, the ballroom was transformed into a stunning candlelit venue. The guests were impressed by the intimate ambience, and the organizer praised Christan's quick thinking. By the end of the evening, what could have been a disaster turned into a triumph. Guests left glowing reviews, and the staff felt a renewed sense of pride in their work. The power outage incident didn't go unnoticed. Word of Christan's leadership reached Harold, who decided to publicly commend him during a staff meeting. "Christan turned a crisis into an opportunity," Harold announced. "He not only saved the gala but also demonstrated what it means to lead with both intelligence and compassion." The acknowledgement was a turning point for Christan. For the first time, he felt truly accepted by the team. But rather than resting on his laurels, he focused on growing further. He began attending leadership workshops and shadowing Harold to learn the nuances of running a hotel. He also initiated monthly team-building sessions to maintain the camaraderie they had developed. Christan's growth inspired others to step up as well. Employees who had once been passive began taking initiative, and the hotel's overall performance improved. One day, as Christan was reviewing reports, Alex approached him. "You've proven me wrong in the best way possible," Alex said. "I doubted you, but now I see what Harold saw in you. You're exactly what this place needed." Christan smiled, humbled by the compliment. "I couldn't have done it without all of you," he replied. "This is our success, not just mine." Christan stood on the terrace overlooking the city, reflecting on how far he had come. He knew the journey wasn't over, but he was ready for whatever came next. As Christan settled into his role, the hotel prepared for its annual review by a renowned hospitality critic, Eleanor Dubois. Known for her sharp wit and brutally honest reviews, her approval or disapproval could significantly impact the hotel's reputation. The staff buzzed with nervous energy, and Harold emphasized the importance of this visit. "Eleanor is not easily impressed," Harold warned. "She values authenticity and excellence in every detail. Christan, this is your opportunity to shine." Christan took the challenge seriously. He met with each department to ensure every aspect of the hotel was flawless, from housekeeping to dining. The team rallied behind him, eager to prove their worth. On the day of Eleanor's arrival, she swept into the hotel with an air of authority. Her sharp eyes missed nothing as she inspected the lobby, interacted with the staff, and even ordered room service. Christan shadowed her discreetly, ensuring her experience was seamless while resisting the urge to intervene unless necessary. At dinner in the hotel's fine dining restaurant, Eleanor called for Christan to join her. She ordered the most complex dishes and observed him closely as they chatted about the hotel's vision. "You seem invested in this place," Eleanor remarked, her tone neutral. "I am," Christan replied honestly. "It's not just a job. It's a chance to create something meaningful for our guests and our team." Eleanor's expression remained unreadable, leaving Christan uncertain of her opinion. Just as things seemed to be going smoothly, a maintenance issue threatened to derail the visit. A plumbing mishap in the suite Eleanor occupied caused minor flooding in her bathroom. It was a disaster that could have been catastrophic if not handled delicately. When Christan was informed, he immediately sprang into action. He personally apologized to Eleanor and assured her the problem would be resolved within the hour. "I understand if this affects your review," Christan said sincerely, "but I promise this isn't reflective of our usual standards. Let us make this right." Eleanor raised an eyebrow, intrigued by his candor. Christan arranged for Eleanor to be upgraded to the penthouse suite and ensured a team was on standby to assist her. He also left a handwritten apology note along with a gift basket of Eleanor's favorite items, something he had learned about during their dinner conversation. The gesture impressed Eleanor. While the mishap could not be erased, Christan's response showcased his leadership and commitment to guest satisfaction. Eleanor's stay came to an end, and the staff gathered anxiously to hear her feedback. Harold, Christan, and the team stood in the lobby as Eleanor prepared to leave. "I've reviewed hundreds of hotels," Eleanor began, her voice commanding attention. "Many have impressive facades but lack substance. Your hotel has its flaws, but what sets it apart is its heart." She looked directly at Christan. "You, young man, are the reason this hotel thrives. Your ability to lead with empathy and adapt under pressure is rare. While the plumbing incident was unfortunate, your response turned a disaster into an opportunity to demonstrate true hospitality." Eleanor handed Harold her official review, which detailed the strengths and areas for improvement. She had given the hotel a glowing recommendation, highlighting Christan's leadership as a key reason for her positive experience. The staff erupted in cheers, and Harold clapped Christan on the back. "Well done," Harold said. "You've earned this." As the staff celebrated, Christan took a moment to reflect. He realized that leadership wasn't about perfection. It was about resilience, authenticity, and the ability to inspire others. Christan smiled, knowing he had not only secured the hotel's reputation but also cemented his place as a leader. He was ready to continue building a legacy of excellence, one challenge at a time. As the hotel basked in the glow of Eleanor Dubois' glowing review, Christan noticed lingering tension among the staff. He overheard whispers about sabotage, rumors of someone intentionally causing mishaps to tarnish the hotel's reputation. The plumbing issue during Eleanor's stay suddenly seemed less accidental. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Christan quietly investigated. He combed through maintenance records, interviewed employees, and reviewed surveillance footage. His diligence paid off when he uncovered discrepancies in the work logs of a senior staff member, Martin, who had been with the hotel for years. Christan confronted Martin privately, presenting the evidence. "Why would you sabotage the place where you've worked for so long?" Christan asked, genuinely puzzled. Martin hesitated before confessing. "I felt overlooked. With you coming in, I feared my years of experience meant nothing. I thought causing small issues might highlight how valuable I am." Christan took a deep breath, understanding the root of Martin's actions without excusing them. "Martin, this isn't the way to prove your worth. If you have concerns about your role, we can address them openly. But sabotage only hurts the entire team," Christan said firmly. Christan reported the situation to Harold, who decided to place Martin on probation with a clear warning. The incident reminded Christan of the importance of fostering trust and transparency within the team. With the internal conflicts addressed, Christan focused on elevating the hotel's operations. He pitched a proposal to Harold to renovate underutilized areas of the property into spaces that could attract more guests, such as a rooftop lounge and a state-of-the-art spa. Harold was impressed by the detailed plan but had concerns about the budget. "This is ambitious, Christan," Harold said, "but it's also risky. Are you sure this is the right time?" Christan nodded. "If we want to stay competitive, we need to evolve. These additions will not only enhance the guest experience, but also position us as a leader in the industry." Harold agreed to present the proposal to the board, but only if Christan would lead the project. Christan accepted the challenge, excited to leave a lasting mark on the hotel. While the hotel buzzed with excitement over the proposed renovations, an unexpected visitor arrived. Christan's estranged father, Anthony. Anthony had abandoned Christan and his mother years ago, leaving behind a trail of broken promises. Seeing him again stirred a whirlwind of emotions for Christan: anger, sadness, and a hint of curiosity. "Christan," Anthony began, his voice unsteady, "I've been following your journey. I'm proud of what you've accomplished and I want to make amends." Christan struggled to contain his emotions. "You think you can just walk back into my life and everything will be fine?" Anthony looked genuinely remorseful. "I know I've done nothing to deserve your forgiveness, but I'm here to try. I'm not asking for a second chance as your father, just a chance to know the man you've become." Unsure of how to proceed, Christan sought advice from Harold, who had become a father figure to him. "Sometimes people change," Harold said. "It's up to you whether you want to open that door, but don't let anger cloud your judgment. Decide based on what feels right for you." After much contemplation, Christan decided to meet with Anthony, setting firm boundaries. The reunion was emotional and awkward, but it marked the beginning of a tentative relationship. With the board's approval, Christan's vision for the hotel renovations officially moved forward. Contractors filled the premises, blueprints were laid out, and the first phase of the project began. The hotel buzzed with both excitement and trepidation as staff and guests adjusted to the temporary disruptions. Christan oversaw every detail, from the color schemes of the new spa to the menu for the rooftop lounge. His hands-on approach earned the respect of the staff, who now fully understood his commitment to the hotel's success. However, not everything went smoothly. Midway through the renovations, an unexpected supply chain issue delayed the delivery of critical materials. Tensions ran high as deadlines loomed. "Christan, what do we do now?" asked Harold, concerned about the project's timeline. "We'll find alternatives," Christan replied with determination. "We can't let this setback derail us." He worked tirelessly, calling suppliers and negotiating expedited shipments. With his relentless effort, the project stayed on track, albeit with a tighter timeline. As the renovations neared completion, Christan faced another challenge: a prestigious event, the National Hospitality Gala, was scheduled to take place at the hotel. The gala's committee had chosen the venue before renovations began, and now Christan needed to ensure that the hotel was ready to host dignitaries, celebrities, and industry leaders. The staff rallied under Christan's leadership. He assigned teams to work in shifts, ensuring that both the event preparations and the renovations progressed seamlessly. Christan's collaborative approach made everyone feel valued, and even the most skeptical employees began to appreciate his leadership. On the day of the gala, the hotel dazzled. The nearly finished rooftop lounge was unveiled, offering breathtaking views and earning rave reviews from guests. Christan's ability to juggle the renovations and the gala cemented his reputation as a capable leader. During the event, Harold pulled Christan aside. "I've watched you handle these past few months with grace and determination," Harold said. "You've exceeded every expectation I had. I couldn't be prouder." Christan smiled, deeply moved by Harold's words. Amid the success, the former hotel manager, Philip, made an unexpected return. Having heard of the hotel's transformation, he sought a meeting with Harold and Christan. "I owe you both an apology," Philip began. "I let my ego and biases cloud my judgment. Seeing what you've accomplished has made me realize the harm I caused." Christan listened intently, his emotions a mix of resentment and pity. "I'm not here to ask for my job back," Philip continued. "I just wanted to admit my mistakes and congratulate you on proving me wrong." Harold spoke first. "It takes courage to admit when you're wrong. We appreciate your honesty, Philip." Christan added, "I hope this experience helps you grow. Everyone deserves a second chance, but trust must be earned." Philip nodded, humbled by their responses. With the renovations complete and the gala a resounding success, the hotel entered a new era. Guests flocked to the newly added amenities, and positive reviews poured in. The staff, once divided, now worked as a cohesive team, inspired by Christan's leadership. Harold called a staff meeting to celebrate the hotel's achievements. As he stood before the assembled employees, he made a surprise announcement. "Christan has proven himself not just as a leader, but as someone who embodies the spirit of this hotel," Harold said. "I'm officially naming him the general manager." The room erupted in applause. Christan, overwhelmed, stepped forward to address the staff. "This hotel has always been more than a business. It's a community," Christan said. "I'm honored to lead it, and I promise to continue striving for excellence." As Christan walked through the hotel that evening, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. From a bellboy underestimated by many to the leader of a thriving establishment, he had proven that humility, perseverance, and integrity could overcome any challenge. In his heart, Christan knew this was just the beginning of his journey. The lessons he had learned and the relationships he had built would guide him in shaping not only the hotel's future, but his own as well. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more delightful stories.